You ready?
Yes. Why are we talking about our feelings? What the is this? Worst thing that has happened? I don't know how deep you want to go. I was already going through turmoil. And
Right.
then, boom, I lost my main source of support. He was murdered at work. I didn't know what to do. I've been trying to leave. In his brain, I was still his or I wasn't going nowhere. I still had to stand up and care for four children. I was done. Having my heart broken. It was just so bad. And he just kept screaming at me and gripping me up. And I'm like, I lost it. Like, y'all can't be this cruel. How can you charge somebody based off of what somebody else did? That's corny. So you spent 4 to 6 months with me the whole time having a experience that you had with somebody else.
That's a
You didn't
fact.
even let me be me. Like
Right.
somebody has to have a heart because there was nothing but doubts and tears and bloodshed and like a bunch of things that sacrifices. It's crazy. Like you know what I mean? And fights and just a lot of things that happen that so many people have no idea that I went through. I'm done. Girl, all you gotta do is bat your pretty eyes. Any man would do anything you want. That's not who I am. Ignorance, fine, ignorant. Needs are still getting met. At least I'm still eating. At least I'm still having sex. At least I got a bed because we know a lot of men going couch for couch or woman to
Right.
woman because these women are housing them. As long as he cute and as long as he can good, like you know what I'm saying? These women exist. I I honestly feel sorry for them because
Right.
I know personally what that feels like. So they put on a front. Men are taught chin up, chest out. What are your hobbies?
People don't have none.
They don't have them. Like you know what? I'm bored. Come sit on my lap.
Right.
Like no, women do these too. They are not off the hook.
That's a
Like you know what
fact.
I mean? I do not play sides. I don't care. I'm not a girl's girl. But you're only thinking about yourself. Now my mind is going crazy thinking there's something wrong with me,
Right.
which is why dating is hard for me
Right.
because I feel like I have to come down
Right.
to
That's
where
a fact.
everyone is at. But that makes me uninterested
Right.
because why do I have to come down here? I did the work. I did the work for a reason. I want to see effort. The numbers. You got to be upfront and honest because this is a cruel world. She had a problem. I said, look, you're having this problem because you have an absent father. And I said, in order to get over this hump, you need to talk to your dad. This part I can't help you with. There's only but so much talking we can do because you actually have to start putting action into plan. I said, because you're going to keep seeing this over and over until you hold that man accountable. I said, but that's between you and your dad. Shut our ego for a second, put our working boots on, put our big girl, big guy panties on, get to work. Mentally, everybody's tired because I don't feel like dealing with it no more. So everybody's so scared to look weird. And it's just like, we're grown. Either you're grown or you're not. Please let me learn how to spot a lie. This little girl turned into a baby,
Okay.
and there was no one there to baby this baby.
Right.
What was she supposed to do? Love is when humans do something heartfelt. It feels
Exactly.
good to be amazing.
Oh, come and talk to me. I really wanna meet you, girl. I really wanna know your name. Can we just talk? Can we talk for a minute? All right, people, welcome back to Intimate Conversations. This is a platform where we share stories, try to find solutions to what's going on in the gender war. It's a safe space for you to speak and speak on your own specific experiences. Uh, I don't. Well, this is my first time like meeting this lovely young lady in person, but I have been following her on Facebook and social media, and I appreciate her knowledgeable takes when I see her speak on certain things and things of that nature. But welcome to Intimate Conversations. What is your name and like where are you from?
Hey, thanks for having me. So, my name is Nina,
Okay.
and I go by Nina Please on all social media platforms. I'm from Philly, born and raised, um, specifically Alney section. But yeah, I'm here. Hopefully, If God guides me right, I'm
Right.
out of here, but I'm a native.
Okay, so born and raised in Philly.
Yeah.
Okay, how old are you?
I'll be 36 next Saturday.
Okay,
Capricorn.
shout out to you. I'm a
Yes.
Capricorn as well.
Yeah.
My birthday is the 15th. So it's big
See?
Capricorn season. So
Come on
this
in.
is a super extreme special edition. This is the Capricorn edition of
Now I am a spiritual advisor. I am a very dedicated mental health advocate as well as a life coach specializing in relationships, not only with couples, but with yourself and self empowerment.
um I'm glad that you spoke on the self part of it. Do you feel like most people in general even begin to know who they are, to themselves?
That's a 50-50 question, honestly. So, and reason being because yes and no. Because they do is just there's ruminating questions around it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like it's a mirroring reflection. So and there's also I don't necessarily want to put an age
Yeah.
notification on that, like, oh, once you reach 25 or once you reach 21, is more so of an experience thing,
Okay.
where you get that epiphany of, oh, this is me, this is who I am, because you can have that self-identification epiphany at age 12, like, no,
Right.
this is how I feel, like, you know what I mean, like for a
Right.
lot of people who have who are in the LGBTQI um community, they'll say, no, I always knew I was this way since the day that I was born, you know what I mean, because that's still a self-identity um
Dang.
affirmation, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, well, I can't be like, oh, as soon as I, like, for instance, me personally, I wasn't, I didn't truly know, like, no, this is exactly who I am until it wasn't until my early 30s. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no,
Right.
this is definitely, like, you get this confirmation, like, no, soul feeling, this is exactly who I am. So I say it comes, that's why it's like a yes and a no, because it comes with experience. Because
Right.
first you see it within your external environment. You might see it in your family, you might see it in your friends, because once you hit your adolescence and your teenage years, you're trying to see where you fit in. You know what I
Right.
mean? So if you're trying to see where you fit in, you can't say this is who I am, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I always tell people, more than likely experience is normally the best teacher anyway.
Absolutely.
How do you feel like physically about being in your 30s? Do you still feel young and spry, or do you feel like, okay, I know I'm 30 now?
It's funny. I literally cried like the end of last month, like, oh my God, I'm not in my 20s anymore. Like I had to literally let that girl go because I didn't feel as if I was in my 30s. But um that's kind of that's kind of letting go of that the actual question, because you said physically. So
Right.
physically, yeah, I still feel like I'm in my 20s physically, but
Okay.
spiritually and emotionally, no.
Okay.
And the crazy part is, even when I was in my 20s, I never felt it. Like
Okay.
emotionally and spiritually, like I never felt my 20s. Like, you know what I mean? But physically, now I'm shaking and grooving.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, so give us like a little summary about your background. Do you come from a single parent household? Do you have siblings? How was your childhood? And a quick little summary.
Mm, I was the responsible one. So, and again, I guess you're catching me at a good time, because a lot of these revelations literally just happened within the end of last year up until the beginning of this year. So I had a major ego death recently. So and I had to let my childhood go too, because I thought I had a good childhood, and
Right.
to the naked eye, you would say that I did. So I was raised by my grandmother.
Okay.
My mom and my dad had me young. My mom was 16 and or 17, 16, 17, but my dad was 21, right?
Okay.
So big age gap there, yeah. Not too much of my parents, y'all. but but it was what it was, and they were very young minded as well. So they were too caught up into themselves and what was going on in their lives. Like, you know what I mean? And giving them grace as well, because there is no parental handbook.
Guidebook.
Do
Right.
you see what I'm saying? Right. So they were only able to do what they were able to do to the capacity of what they were able to do and the knowledge that they had. So it was what it was. Um, and I was raised by my grandmother, and a very elegant, classy lady. Like, very old school. Got my manners from her. I got my etiquette from her, and she did her thing. Not even gonna hold you. That lady did her thing. She's a Capricorn as well. 1-1.
Big
Newborn
Capricorn
baby.
season. Big
Right, right,
Capricorn.
right. Big cat. Um, and my brother and I, we are what you call Irish twins. So we're only like 10.5 months apart. His birthday is next month. So we are like the same age for
Right.
a month and some time, right?
Right.
So but he's older than I am. So he's born in 88, I'm 89, right?
Okay.
So it was just us until my dad later on in his life, he got married and had two more sons. So I have two half brothers.
Okay.
Um, and they didn't come into the world, I think, until I was 18, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Are y'all
So that's
close?
my childhood. Huh?
Are you close with your siblings?
I'm closer. It was just me and my brother like this.
Okay.
That's my, like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
I love my little brothers, like, but they lived a separate life than I did.
Right.
Granted, we tried to gain a relationship um over time, but I never saw my dad. So
Right.
like it's
Right.
only but so much that you can't gain a relationship with someone who's not there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So around holidays and birthdays, of course I saw my little brothers, but it was at that time it was one of them things to where though even me and my brother at the time we were like, we just gotta wait till they get older. And which now they got older, so now we're able to like start building a bond, which is great because it's starting to happen. So with my little brothers, our relationship is starting to flourish now, which we always were like praying on, and it's finally happened. So I'm really grateful for that.
That's what's up. That's what's
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Um, I have like a similar situation to that where I didn't grow up particularly with an older sister and a younger brother that I have on my father's side. But like you said, getting older, you want to bring that closer.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, because they can't really tell just because of where we are right now. You have these light eyes, right?
Mm.
Where does that come from?
They come from Vision Works. No, but look, seriously, it's we have this we have two different rare, I don't know what you call these things, conditions in my family.
Right.
Um, and we don't know who's going to get it.
Okay.
And is so my uncle, who's my grandmother's baby. He's the last boy, right? His eyes, I forget the name that you call it. It's the eyes where it changed colors.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's a name that is
Yeah, I know
called.
it's a name for it, but
You
I
know what
can't
I'm talking about?
think of it right
So we know when he's sick because one color would be green, the other one would be blue. We know when he's angry, it'll change, right? So the running joke his whole life was he's the milkman's baby. Like,
now.
you know what I mean? So, so but the thing is um that condition skips generations.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the other condition is we have what you call SMA. It's where it's a degenerative bone disorder. It's in the same family of muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
So um, I grew up in a family full of handicaps. So, and I literally just had this similar conversation the other day because I'm so used to it. Like I'm used to wheelchairs, I'm used to ramps, I'm used to. So I was telling a friend of mine, I'm like, "Oh, do you know the dips that's on the corner of the
Right.
pavements at every block?
Right.
That wasn't a thing forever. I think it came in like the late 90s or early 2000s and stuff where it became a law that on every corner it has to have the dips for the wheelchair ramps to get under. He's
Right.
like, "No, I never knew that." I'm like, "Yeah." I said, because my family is a part of it.
Right.
I said, I remember where I'm sitting here watching the construction workers build the dips. Like, you know what I mean? Because my family, we had to like call the city and like, petition, like, hey, there's no, because without the dips, my aunt and uncle, we can't get off the curb.
Right. It's hard to get on the payments.
Right, right. So where as though these things is normal in my life is not normal in everyone else's life. Like, you know what I mean? So
Right.
like when I was a child after school, I would have to run home to help my aunt and uncles out, or I can't go out because I have to help my aunts and uncles out or whatever. And then even now as an adult, now my mom is in a wheelchair, but these things is normal for me.
Right.
I don't pay it a second, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going with that, but
I
these
was
things,
asking you, where you
yeah,
got
these
the
things
light
is
colored
normal
eyes.
for me. Yeah. So
Right.
I don't, I'm so used to it. I don't
Right.
give it a second glance to where as though until somebody bring it to my attention. I'm like, oh yeah. So
Okay, so as a child or just growing up in general, what was your favorite thing to do?
dance,
Okay.
dance, music, sing. And and the funny part, I can't do none of that. I can't do none of that now. So I love active movement. I love to move. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, dance, music, sing. I used to like look at the music videos, and I was never one of the girlies that want to be a vixen.
Right.
I will always imagine myself as like the main cat. Like, you watch Bow Wow and stuff like that,
Right.
right? I would imagine myself as Bow Wow or like his best friend. Like, because you would picture yourself in the music video. So
Right.
I would either imagine myself as like the producer, like whoever's making them. I'm like, I can make these music videos. So even now, I'm driving down the street, like, and I'm listening to a song.
Right.
Like, I will imagine I'm like, man, I will make the hell out one of these music videos. Like,
Yeah,
I never
so
wanted to be like the music video, huh?
you probably is either like a creative or you have a big imagination.
Yeah, yeah. And I never thought I had a talent because I never saw it as a talent.
Right.
So I used to always, because people know how to sing, people know how to dance, and people know how to play instruments. So I always saw that as a talent. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, oh my God, I don't have a talent. What's wrong with me? I'm broken. But now that I'm older, I'm so creative and I'm quick with it. Like I'm
Right.
quick with ideas. Like, especially helping people like jumpstart projects or helping them with their business. I'm like, no, do this or no, do that. You know what I mean? Time to find out that's a talent. Like
Well,
coming up with $1 million
right.
projects and $1 million ideas,
Right.
that's a talent. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
And you also know that that's a part of being a Capricorn,
Figured that out not too long ago.
right? Yeah, it's kind of one of our traits, being a creative or having big imagination,
It
things of
feels
that
good to
nature.
be amazing.
It does. It does. It does. It does. All right, I want to ask you, what do you think is your first vision of seeing what love is?
Of seeing or saying.
Seeing, like your first vision of it, like whether it's your grandma and somebody, your parents, whoever it may be, even like the love between you and a sibling, whatever. What is your first vision of what do you think love is?
When it comes to love, I'm very unorthodox about it.
Okay.
Um, because I think love is more so of an action. Does it come from a feeling? But it's the action. So love is when humans do something um heartfelt. So example, and I'll cry from it. And the crazy part, because I'm like, I'm such a emotional thug, right?
Right.
So you'll rarely see me cry. But when I see a genuine act of kindness, that is what I identify as love. Like, you know
Okay.
what I mean? So things that aren't transactional, that is love for me. That is actual love. So when people, I understand that when people are in romantic relationships, right?
Right.
And I know this may correlate to today's society when they're uh, dating now, because I talk about this a lot on my platforms, especially. So for one thing, from a woman's perspective outwards, and this I even talk about this with my clients because I want to change their perspective.
Right.
Oh, when I'm dating a guy and he wants to come pick me up, he better pull up with some roses. Da, 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 da. Why do you need all of that in order for him to value
Right.
you? Like, you know what I mean? You already know your worth. You already know your value. What and that doesn't translate as a transactional um you know what I mean? That doesn't translate as a
Exchange.
transactional thing.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? That doesn't give that to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, because if I was to receive that, then, if he pulls up, oh, here's these roses, here's these, that, what do you want from me?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like a purchase.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I would rather it come from somewhere genuine. For instance, maybe we're on the phone one day and we're having a conversation, and then we do go out on a date. And maybe when you do pull up, you're giving me something that I probably talked about on the phone that I had no business, that I have no memory I even brought up. Do you see
Right.
what I'm saying? Sorry, my phone was ringing. But
You
that's a
good.
genuine act of kindness. Do you
Right.
see what I'm saying? So, and those are the things that resemble love for me. And it don't even have to be romantic. I even cry when somebody is helping an old lady across the street, because you're stopping what you're doing throughout your day to stop, to turn around and help someone, and you're not even looking for nothing back, because she
Right.
may hand you $1. You're like, miss, please, no.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure
You
you're
good.
traveling safely.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
All
those
right. So what brought about the spiritual side? Like, is that something that was always inside of you, or is it something that you just found recently?
No, I didn't find it recently. Because I found it. Now I know that it was always inside of me. It just
Right.
needed to be brought to the front center.
Right.
The spiritual part of me happened um after a few traumatic things in my life.
Hmm.
The one it it became prominent after this big traumatic turn of events. So back in 2016, I lost my cousin.
Okay.
Um, this man played a huge part in my life. Um, it's my cousin Eddie. If you were following me, you see me post him um, a couple of times, if not recently, back in November, because I went to visit his gravesite. So unfortunately, he was murdered at work. Um, this was on the news. So at this time, as well, I was already going through a transition of separating with my kid's dad.
Okay.
And I was with my kid's dad since I was 16.
Okay.
You know, not only was it my first serious relationship, it was the longest relationship I've ever been in my life. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? um, and that was a really hard relationship to separate from. Um, and even from that separation till now, I've understood the kind of um abuse that I was suffering while I was in there, right? But back to 2016, before my cousin passed, trying to get away from that relationship
Right.
was already trauma within itself.
Right.
So trying to get away from the relationship, um, the work I was doing at that time, I was also in school. I was already going through turmoil. And
Right.
then boom, I lost my main source of support.
Right.
I was done. Done. I didn't know how to feel. I already didn't know how to feel.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Um, but I didn't know. I was just blinded. So everything that I was using to cope, which I technically really wasn't coping, I just thought that I was,
Right.
but my nervous system was shot. Like, you know what I mean? And I was a girl. I was literally a little girl because I was what, 26 at this time, 26, 27 at this time.
Right.
I thought I knew how to move around and shift around in this world, but the whole time I just didn't.
Right.
So I had literally everyone on my back. Everyone was like using me as a main source of resource. And then at this time, I it was a matter of 5 seconds to where as though this little girl turned into a baby,
Okay.
and there was no one there to baby this baby.
Right.
What was she supposed to do?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And so I was numb, but I still had to stand up and care for 4 children.
Right.
I didn't know what to do.
Right.
I didn't know how to process my feelings. I didn't know how to feel my feelings. I didn't even know what an emotion was because I was already walking on stilts prior to losing my main source of support system. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, even prior to that, I never did an ounce of therapy. I was literally a robot, just an NPC player, just moving because
Right.
I thought it was checklists and goals that I had to. Oh, just make sure you graduate college. Just make sure you move up in corporate. Just make sure you pay your bills. Just make sure you feed the kid. I was literally just checking check boxes off. I wasn't reaching emotionally filled goal. I was just reaching goals that everybody else thought that I was supposed to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, in that moment, I said, I need to feel something. I just didn't
Right.
know what I needed to feel. So I said, well, what do everybody else usually do when they feel stressed?
Right.
I went to the gas station, grabbed a black and mild. First time I,
I can't.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And that's what my environment did.
Right.
That was the first time I ever touched one. I'm not a smoker. I'm not a drinker. I didn't know what to do. Everybody else do it. My brother, my mother, my father, everybody, literally. My cousin passed away, everybody. Like, if this what y'all do and it help y'all, why would it not help me? Child, I didn't even know what I was doing when I had it in my hand. Like, you know what I mean? As soon as I lit the thing, it stunk so bad. I said, what the fuck? Like,
Right.
so it just because it wasn't Naima.
Right.
It wasn't me. Like, it wasn't who I am. Like, you know what I mean? So, but I took a walk, and at that time, I asked my kids, "Dad, please pick the kids up from school."
Right.
I just knew I wasn't feeling right. I knew I wasn't here. Please pick the kids up from school, because he wasn't a reliable person either.
Mhm.
But at that time, he comes in, but he saw it in my hand, and I was trying to hide it from my kids.
Right.
Um, and as we got in the house, here he go with this again.
Right.
I'm like, you can't even read the room, and he just
Right.
kept rah, 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 rah. You such a bad mom. You this, that, and the others. This what you going. It was just so bad. And he just kept screaming at me and gripping me up. And I'm like, I lost it.
Right.
I lost it. Because he cornered me in the bathroom. I lost it. I lost it. I just blanked out and I called him all kinds of names and you just gotta get out. Like, you know what I mean? Because usually I was aware of my surround. Like if my kids around, because I think that's what he was counting on. Because if my kids was around, I won't even entertain.
Right.
Because he will always try to do things like to get me out of character because that was fun for him.
Right.
So and if my kids were around, I would never indulge in it because I know what your goal is.
Right.
I didn't care. It was fist to ass.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
You had a snap moment. You had a snap moment.
I had to because I just blacked out. You gotta go. You gotta go. And that was the last time I ever seen him. And that was the first day of the best day of my life.
Mm,
Like, and I know that's crazy to say because I was going through the pits of my darkness,
right,
but he had to go.
right,
Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, there's no amount of words to fulfill that feeling of the toxicity that that man brought into my life. Like, you know what I
right,
mean? And that's even hard to like say out into words because the people who knew us and people who are in our environment, even the people who know him personally, I know that they can never see him in the ways that I know him because
right,
he puts on this facade. You
right.
know what I mean? So I've always just stayed to my truth, like, because I don't do no bashing and
Mm,
I don't give a fuck about that man. You know what I mean? So it was just at that point, because I've been through so much. At that point, I just needed him out my life.
right.
I don't care what you say to anybody. I don't care what I.
All right, so I want to just touch on a couple of points that you made
Yeah.
in that. I feel like a lot of times, like you said, people are moving throughout life and they're hitting these checkbox or these checklists of things that they think they're supposed to do. But something that you also said, the emotional side of it, a lot of people will never understand like what a real or true emotion is until they go through certain things, until they go through, and more times than not, that's a traumatic thing. It'd be like a
Mhm.
bad thing, and that's where you really find out what real emotions are.
Yeah.
So I just want to
Definitely.
make sure that we're making that clear, because a lot of people don't know that, they haven't got there yet, they haven't seen it yet, and that is a huge point that you were speaking about. Just finding your emotional side or space and like learning what that is.
Yeah,
So
I
that, that
totally.
that's a big point. That's a big point. What was your like? Was that the last straw between you and your baby father that day, or was it like a moment where because I speak about these kind of things all the time, where it's a big mental and emotional, and we have a family. It's a lot of things wrapped into separating from a person, especially a person that you've been with for a long time and your lives are intertwined. So, was there like a specific moment, or was there a build up for you to be like, I gotta go?
I've been trying to leave.
Okay.
Um, I guess that was so technically, I was already out. Um, but you know how you always have that weird limbo space
Right,
because you're trying to figure out that co-parenting thing, like, you
right,
know what I mean? So that moment was the moment I knew we couldn't even do that.
right,
You know what I mean? Because it told me that he still had it confirmed for me that in his brain, regardless, how do I say this? Okay. It confirmed to me that in his brain, as long as he still had access to come in and out of my house or access to phone, you know what I mean? Like,
right,
as long as I was responding a certain kind of way, in his brain, I was still his or I wasn't going nowhere.
right,
You know what I mean? So in that moment, it confirmed to me you get no access
right,
at all.
right,
Like, do you know what I mean?
right,
So at that time, I had to just acknowledge, okay, even though I said I was gone months ago,
right,
because in his head,
right,
he still thought that we were something, then I have to, you know, I was still focused on me. Like, because in my
right,
head, we were done. Like, you know what I
right,
mean? But even though in his head it was still something there, then I still have to account for this time too.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because I still want to be fair in my journey.
Right.
You know, do you see what I'm saying?
Right. And
So, mhm,
you can go ahead and finish. But I was gonna ask you, so that's why even when I asked you earlier about people knowing themselves, it's a like a blanket question. Because do
yeah.
you even think that he knows, you know, what he was doing to you?
Will he admit it? No.
That's what I mean. Like there's a difference between knowing and admitting. Like
Hell yeah. Will he
it,
admit that?
what
No.
like what I'm asking is in their eyes or just people sometimes people in general, they could know, but they won't admit it because they don't think that they're wrong is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can always tell by the response and the words that they use. And again, this is what led me to where I am today through all of the, I don't want to curse on your platform,
No,
but
you
through all
good.
of the,
This is
but through,
intimate conversation. You can
oh,
curse, you
okay.
can say, you can do whatever you want.
All right. I don't want to disrespect nobody's place. But through all of the bullshit that people put you through, you know what I mean? He's not the first nor last person to abuse me. Do you see what I'm saying? But abuse will trigger things in you.
Right,
Trauma will trigger things in you.
right,
So the thing, and also I will note this: you have to be careful what you pray for. So I was a very naive young girl, right? Because I always saw things, rainbows, glitter. You know, to the day I'm still bubbly, but I'm bubbly with a caution now, right? I always want my personality to remain exactly who I am. I'm a very authentic person. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And I hate that the people who I ran into in my past took away some of my personality. But
right,
at the end of the day, it is what it is, right?
right,
But growing up until today, um, my personality attracted the wrong kind of people. You know,
right,
and I'm understanding this today, and it's okay. However, back then, because started learning who I was attracting, I always prayed to God, please let me learn how to spot a lie,
right,
right? Because you can walk up to me today, I'll believe any word you tell me because I've always had the concept, why the fuck would you lie to me?
right,
Like,
right,
what are you lying to me for? Because it never made any sense. And the reason why it never made sense to me is because I would never lie. What am I lying to you for?
right,
It still doesn't. The same way credit don't make sense to me. It don't make. Why would I borrow money from you that I don't have to give back?
right,
Make it make sense. You
right,
don't know me. I don't know you. Why would I lie? Like, do you know what I mean? So why would I lie to get something out of you that you may or may not have? If you don't have it, you don't have it. I'll go somewhere else and get it.
right,
What am I manipulating you for?
right,
You know what I mean? I don't see nothing that special in people, even celebrities. I don't, and it's fun because yeah, I keep saying it's funny because I had this conversation. I swear to God, I be having conversations like every other day, but like, but everybody think is ironic, but I don't see celebrities how everyone else sees celebrities. But I thought everyone else was like me.
That's
I think
I
you
agree with
you
that.
guys are great. Like, you know
Right,
what I mean? I love that you've reached your dream. I see that, the admiration, but I'm not starstruck. You can walk
see,
past me and I'll be all right.
the problem is in that, and I agree with what you're saying, but the problem in that per se is people forget that celebrities are still people. That's why.
We all see red when you get
Right,
at the end of the day. I don't care. You
right.
will get sick too. I don't care. Other celebrities have like self-esteem issues like we do.
That's a fact.
It's never a big deal. Oh my God, did you see? Like we were in the airport before. I don't care.
That's a
Are they
fact.
gonna pay my bills? Are they
Fact.
gonna sit and give me a $5 million idea and run it for me? I don't care. Do I admire them? I do because I love that you succeeded in whatever dream that you succeeded in and you did it. And maybe, if you're doing something for your community, I love that you're actually doing something for your community because, again, that speaks love for me.
Right.
Thank you for reaching to where you needed to go so you can help the people that was behind you.
That's a
I
fact.
love that. Like, you know what I mean? But to be starstruck, I'm not passing out for this. Like,
That's a
you
fact.
see what I'm saying? It's not for me.
That's a fact. I want to ask you, what is your thoughts, just in general, about people having like open conversations or deeper conversations? Do you feel like people are doing that, like speaking to each other and having the conversations that they should be having?
No, people are very surface talkers, and it mostly comes from fear.
Mhm.
Everyone is so scared to look like themselves. You know what I mean? Or because it's like, oh, I don't know how X, Y, and Z is going to take this. They're going to take it however they take it. Either they fuck with it or they don't. It's not that deep. So everyone's so scared to look weird. And it's just like, we're grown. Either you grown or you're not. Like, you know what I
That's a
mean? And
fact. I say that all the time.
like,
Either you grown or you not.
yeah, it's going not. Like it's going to be what's going to be. So because if you continue to walk, and this is what I preach on my spiritual page, but if you continue to walk in your authenticity, you will always find your crowd. It's a billion people on this earth, and you're afraid to talk how you want to talk in front of one person. You don't know who you're going to reach. You know what I mean? You don't know who needs to hear whatever it is that you're saying, because what if they're also on that deep frequency?
Right.
But they're thinking the same thing you thinking. How is this person going to receive me? Like, you know what I mean? Everyone needs that open communication, right? Because it's manic to sit in your own thoughts. You have to let it out. You have to let it breathe, because you'll go crazy leaving a lid over top of a steaming pot.
Right. All
Uh,
right. I want to ask you, how did you get into life coaching, and what do you like? How do you mentor or tell your children like about your journey, like in order to avoid certain things, or even when speaking to some of your clients, what do you speak to them? You know, when they tell you that they're going through like specific things like abuse or whatever it may be.
mm. So, life. So, okay.
I know it's a layered question.
No, it's okay. Yeah, because I'm like, let me.
Right.
Psychology, I actually landed because it's like nothing happens on accident. But I didn't go to school for psychology. I actually tried to go to school for human resources because I wanted to do management. Because at that time I was working for Einstein Hospital, go to school for free, and I always work in leadership, right? So I wanted to do management. I thought I was signing up for human resources until I got in class. I'm like, why are we talking about our feelings? What the fuck is this? Like, like you know. And then I hit this one class because they're like, oh, I don't know, this is what you signed up for. I'm like, no, I didn't. Then the next semester happened. I hit this other class and it was sociology, and I'm like, I like this.
Right.
I really like this, and I stayed. And then when I went to look at my roster, it said psychology. I said, it said psychology and human services. I said, I didn't sign up for this, but you know what?
I
I'm
like it.
staying.
You're
Like,
right.
I like it. So that's when I got my first degree, my associate's degree. And then from there I switched to Children's Hospital, and I started working because I was a medical assistant, and I did pulmonary. And then I had to switch departments, and that's when I found myself in the NICU. And I went back to school to get my bachelor's, but I stayed under psychology. I did human services, but in the NICU, I was able to start actually working like in the field of behavioral health. I'm working with the social workers, um, with children for human development and stuff like that. So I'm actually in the field. And it wasn't until towards the end um, of leaving Children's Hospital. That's another story.
Okay.
Because the reason why I was leaving Children's Hospital is not why I'm here. That's another. Oh, that place is crazy. So, but I started getting into life coaching because I was on break of Children's Hospital. My grandfather was actually passing away, and he gave me some advice. And but I was always the friend where everyone come to for advice.
Right.
And during the time when I was in school, I was doing a counseling course, and it was something was we were talking about then, and I thought about life. I'm like, well, I'm always a friend to give advice. And I was also doing an internship. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gaudenzia. So I did a group session, and I was like, this is really nice.
Right.
I like this because I was so receptive. Well, the group was it was a fur program for women trying to get their children back. So they did the program in lieu of jail time.
Right.
And they were it was young women, but they were so receptive of my energy while I was leading the group. So I just dove right in, and it was literally like I wasn't working.
Right.
I'm like, it can't be that easy. But it was it was like I was talking to a friend or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, but I do this
On
every
a
day
regular.
for
Right.
free
On a regular.
on a regular. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't exerting energy or not. I'm just on a regular. So I was like, well, I might as well get certified in this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's do this legally. Let's do this the right way. And then next thing you know, now I'm opening a business for it. And next thing you know, now I'm creating courses. It just, but what happened was the more I started opening and talking to people and opening myself up to it and allowing the people to gravitate to me,
Right.
my audience created my my position for me. I didn't do it. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? Even when it came down to relationships, Instagram actually did that. I'm like, oh, if y'all in my inbox asking me for advice, let's change the title. You know, I'm certified in it. I have the education behind it. Why am I doing it for the free?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I might as well attach it to my business because I'm already a spiritual advisor. Might as well attach it to my business because I'm getting a lot of requests for it. Like, you know what I mean? So I might as well make myself available for you guys too.
Right.
And then boom, here I am.
Do you feel like you're an empath?
I am an empath.
Okay. And how important do you think it is for people to find, where they land spiritually?
Very important. Um, I always say as long as you believe in something higher than yourself,
Right.
um, spirituality connects you to your inner self, your inner knowing, right?
Right.
And in order to do that, you have to go outside of yourself to get back in yourself. And I know that sounds very contradicting, but back to the saying of, if you stay inside with your own thoughts, you grow. You'll. It's mania. It's the recipe
It's the
for
devil's
man.
playground.
Exactly. So if you have these thoughts, you shoot it out, research, right? Like, oh, you know, I wonder why the stars are so far apart, for instance, right? You say it out loud, you say it to someone, you go do research, and then you allow the information to come back at, example, inner knowing, and then allow that information to bloom inside of you. That's that interconnectedness. Like, you know what I mean? So, which will allow, here's the spiritual part, which will allow your heart, which, if once you find your spirituality, you'll
Right.
know how important um your heart chakra. I'm trying to avoid not saying it because everyone doesn't align with that. And I'm,
You
trying
can
to make
say
it understandable.
it. You
But
can say it.
because it's important to make sure we lead with our heart, the empathy part and the compassion part. because a lot of times as we get outside of that, and that's when our ego starts taking over. And again, back to the devil's playground, our ego starts taking over and start talking us out of a lot of things. And then now what happens? You start losing your passion, you start losing your drive, you start losing your motivation, because you start becoming self-conscious about every movement you take. And and then boom, failure, depression, like, you know what I mean, you drop.
Right.
So it's like making sure that your heart and mind stay connected and stay in alignment, so you can keep moving and you can keep continuing to fill your own cup, and you don't run dry, and that well don't run dry. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and spirituality does that for you.
Okay, what is your thoughts on your vision for love for yourself right now? Is this something that you feel like it'll just come when it comes to you? Do you feel like it's something that you're looking for? Like, where are you? What space are you in?
For love, like
Right,
romantically,
right.
because it's gonna sound contradicting. So, all right,
not the sigh.
I know, because all right, so but love for me, because I've been only because it's been really working my nerves lately, right? So I am open to receive.
Okay.
I am very open to receive, but I know also I feel very blocked off,
Right.
right? Only because I had my little feelings played with recently,
Right. Okay.
and I know how open I am to receive it, right? And I feel like my openness allows my feelings to be played with. And you know how what Pinky say, you
I don't want to have to fuck you up, Smokey. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions.
playing with my
Right.
feelings. Don't play
Right.
with my emotions, like, you know what I
Right.
mean. So no, but seriously, so I don't like that part. And I'm quick to throw the zodiacs out there.
Right.
As a Capricorn, we already guarded. I'm
Right.
already guarded because
Right.
I know how deep I love. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So it's like, but I also know the mission that I'm on. Like, I want everyone to know love is real and love is okay and love is safe and everything like that. But everyone, but I also have the knowledge everyone is not on the same page.
That's a
Do you know what I
fact.
mean? So, and I also have the knowledge of how I'm looked at
Right.
on the 3D plane. Like, you know what I mean? It's like for a man going, they see a nice car driving past. Oh, I want that.
Right.
But you don't have the tools or the financial status to obtain it. And I'm
Right.
not talking about, you know,
Or not only to obtain it,
tangibly.
to maintain it.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right?
Right.
I'm not talking about tangibly,
Right.
but do you know what I mean?
Right.
You just want it because you see it and
Right.
it's nice
Right.
and you want to show it off,
Right.
but you're not equipped to handle it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So what happens in the hands of someone who's not equipped to handle it? You're gonna damage it.
Right.
And what good is it gonna be for the next person?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and that's what happens in the dating community. So
Right.
now everybody's getting tainted cars, tainted nice cars,
Right.
but mentally everybody's tired because I don't feel like dealing with it no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I hate that for us, especially the Black community, because it shouldn't be like that. So here go the gender wars.
Right.
Now everything is being blamed on the other person
Right.
because everybody's exhausted. I don't feel like dealing with this. I got enough ish to deal with.
Right.
You know what I mean? Thanks to the economy, thanks to bum ass Trump.
Just life
Like,
in general. Just life in general.
in general, it's so much other stuff to deal with. However, if we really think about it, we do need each other.
Right.
Like, there's strengths in both of us. It's just we need to shut our ego for a second, put our working boots on, put our big girl, big guy panties on, get to work. Get
Right.
to work. Like, you know what I mean? And it doesn't help that social media shows us so many options that we think we have.
Right.
because anybody can clean the lens off of a camera and make shit look pretty.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, who's willing to do the inner work? Who's willing to do the outer work? Who's willing to be truthful about it? Because nothing's wrong with honesty and transparency. Everybody has something wrong.
Right.
So
Do you feel like people are ready for truth?
I think they are. I think people are ready for the truth. They just waiting for somebody to step up. It's like, you know how you walk in, maybe waiting on a bus stop, and say there's a problem on a corner. Everybody minding their business about the problem until that one person be like, yo, that's not right. Then now everybody got their 2 cents about it. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Right.
I think nowadays everyone's so desensitized because of so much stuff that's happening. It's like, what more can happen? But it just takes that one person to be like, oh, this is what it is. So, and then everybody else will like, well, and now everybody else can take their mask off. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Now they think it's okay. Now they
Because
think
so it just has to be okay. And the thing is, it is okay. Like, you know what I mean? No, everybody is a human. Like, no, see, nobody gives a fuck.
that's a fact.
Nobody cares. And I don't know why it's still stuck in their brain that somebody cares. Nobody cares. It's
All
weird.
right. Where are you on the children aspect? Are you done?
I'm done. The only way I won't be done is when I get married and if my husband wants a baby.
Okay. Okay.
That's it.
All right. That was the second part of that question. What are you telling your children? Like, how are you preparing your children to try to avoid some of those things?
Of what I went through,
Right.
I speak love into my girls and my son. I'm very transparent and open. Um, so anything that I go through, like for instance, now my oldest girl, she's 17. She just started dating. I had a conversation with her because I see where some of her stumps is going in. Um, and I'm like, look, because she had a problem. I said, look, you're having this problem because you have an absent father. And I said, in order to get over this hump, you need to talk to your dad to figure this part out. I said, this part I can't help you with. I said, I can be here as a support. I said, because you're going to cry, you're going to need a shoulder, and we can talk. I said, but there's only but so much talking we can do because you actually have to start putting action into plan. I said, because you're going to keep seeing this over and over until you hold that man accountable. You know, I said, but that's between you and your dad. I said, that part I'm out of. Like, you know what I mean? Um, so those are the kind of conversations that I have with my kids. You got to be upfront and honest because this is a cruel world. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm overly nurturing. You know, I'm not going to beat on them in their sanctuary. So
Right.
discipline is here 110%. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so they consistently honor rules, and I think that they do that on their own. But I
Right.
think it comes because they have a supportive system here. I tell them when they leave out for school or anytime report card come up, I want to see effort.
Right.
Fuck the numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we speak about making sure that they speak up to make sure that they're heard. If you
And
heard,
people don't
talk.
understand what's the correct effort. We'll give you the numbers.
Yep. You don't have to do the
Right.
numbers come when you apply yourself.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I make sure that the emotional intelligence is here. I make sure that, you know, you're healthy, you're eating, the physical is appropriate, you're sleeping. Like, do you know what I mean? The hygiene is here. Because the letters will get there. Like, you know what I mean? So I speak love into my children.
All right. What do you think your flaws are?
I got a lot. A lot. A lot. What do you mean? Let me see.
Is it something that you're working on? Is it
Yeah,
like what are we doing with the flaws? What are we doing with the
yeah.
flaws?
Every time the drones pop up, I'm like, all right, hold on. It's time to isolate from society. I got some shit to work out. Like, so recently, let me see. I got a temper. That 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 part just that part is just I don't want to necessarily say it is what it is. That part is just I think it's going to be a continuing work in progress until my hormones just calm itself down.
Okay.
But you know, my temper
Well, people
has
don't know
never
that
been seen.
those things go hand in hand.
Hormones and temper.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I think it's just gonna be a thing until my hormones calm down. Like, but you won't see my temper. Like, you know what I mean? I have control over my temper. Like, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Um, as far when it comes to like relationships,
Right.
um, I have to do a lot of affirming for myself because I know because of my mother and father wounds,
Right.
I always assume the worst as far as when it comes to like abandonment. So I try not to put it on the other person. So I reaffirm myself. And sometimes that can look like I'm not interested.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for instance, if like say if like we're talking and I don't hear from you in days,
Right.
you no longer exist to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and if it's day 3, you're like, hey Nina, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're no longer a contendant. Like, you know what I'm saying? But what if, like, your brother just passed away or something?
Right.
Like,
Shit
you
was
know what I mean? Like, you
those
don't know
happen.
me.
Right.
Right. You don't know me. Like, why the fuck would you be thinking about me? Do you
Right.
see what I'm saying? So, but my mind wouldn't consider all those things. So now, within the last couple of years, my brain is starting to be understanding of those things to a to a
To a degree.
to a very, very small degree,
to,
you know?
to a degree. To a
To
degree.
a very small degree.
I do want to speak on that point. So I think that also plays into the emotional side of people or their emotional maturity because as a man, our emotions are taught to us to, when we're going through shit, we might shut down or we might not be communicative. But when you grow or like find your emotional maturity, that's the biggest time that I'm going to need you.
Hmm.
So
So,
when you find that, then that those kind of things don't happen. It's like because you've graduated.
my points exactly. But again, that goes to remember I said earlier, I know everyone isn't on that frequency,
Right, right,
which is why dating is hard for me
right,
because I feel like I have to come down
right.
to
That's
where
a fact.
everyone is at. But that makes me uninterested
Right,
because why do I have to come down here?
right,
I did the work.
right,
I did the work for a reason because I want to be married. Like, you know what I mean? And I want to be true to myself and I want to stay where I am. So, and then here I go. Every time I come down here to be an understanding, what happens? My heart get played with.
right,
You know what I mean? And then not only does my heart get played with because you couldn't, identify your feelings or you couldn't be true to yourself and because you couldn't open up and say, hey, I like you, but that's not what I want to do right now.
right,
You can be honest and actually correlate those emotions and have that communication. Now my mind is going crazy thinking there's something wrong with me.
right.
You see what I'm saying? You leaving me to question my attractive, even though I'm not. You leaving me to question, but I'm just saying these things happen. You leaving me to question my attractiveness or my worth. These things happen, because you don't know where somebody's at emotionally, but you're only thinking about yourself. Whereas it takes 2 minutes to say, this and that and the other. But and these are I've I've been in these situations. Two, I've had these conversations. Like, three, I've been in these groups. I've seen these scenarios happen. On the other end, whether it's a guy or a girl, because women do these too. They are not off the hook.
That's
Like,
a
you know
fact.
what I mean? I do not play sides. I don't care. I'm not a girl's girl. I'm not a girl's girl. Like, you know what I mean? I'm a person. you know? But they on the other side, they'll say, well, in my past experiences, anytime I did try to communicate, they did that's this not your past experience.
Right. It's a
You
whole
don't
different
know that.
experience.
How can you charge somebody based off of what somebody else did? That's corny. So you spent 4 to 6 months with me the whole time having a experience that you had with somebody else.
That's a
You didn't
fact.
even let me be me.
That's a
Like,
fact.
that's weird. That's weird. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what people are doing today. They're not even so a lot of people are dating just to fill spaces, just to hold places. Like, you know what I mean? Space fillers. So instead of like filling the voids and the holes that you already had prior to meeting this person or engaging with the next person, you're like, you know what? I'm bored. Come sit on my lap.
Right.
Like, no. Like, if you bored, you gotta go get a hobby. So like even when I date or interact with people, what do you do? Like you better not tell me what you do for work. What are your hobbies?
People don't have none.
They don't have them.
They don't have none.
They
I
don't
say
have
that shit
them.
all the time. Y'all don't have that. Like, what are you
They
doing
don't
with your
have
life?
them. A lot
Right.
of
They
people
don't have
distract themselves with work.
Right.
I don't care what you do for work.
Right.
I mean, I care because you care, but you're not about to bore me with your job.
Right. That shouldn't be your whole existence, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
That shouldn't be your whole existence. All
Exactly.
right. I want to ask you two questions about men. You ready?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you, how have men let you down? And well, you can answer that one first. How has men let you down? What is the biggest thing that you feel like men have let you down?
They don't take care of themselves. I'll tell you this one thing I saw earlier. This gentleman, he had to be in his late 20s, right? He said, he got on the camera. He said, "What's up, y'all? I mean, I wanted to show y'all my fit for today." And granted, this may not be all men, but majority, right? "What's up, y'all? I just wanted to show y'all my fit for today. I mean, because I'm glad I came outside. I was dealing with this fake depression." What are you talking about? So they put on a front, and I
Facts.
understand where it comes from because unfortunately in our community, men are taught, unfortunately, what I say, men are taught to suppress their emotions, to show up as if nothing is going wrong in their life. Chin up, chest out kind of thing. And that's where they disappoint me at because after a certain point in your life, you know that that's not okay.
Right.
So when do you show up for yourself? You
Facts.
need to show up for yourself so you can show up for the community because there are people behind you counting on you to show up for yourself. So that's where I get disappointed because it's like, thank you. Thank you for not showing up for yourself. Because you know you're allowed to be emotional. And then what they do? Blame it on the women.
I don't think that they all know that though.
I'm not a man. I'm not a man, so I
That's
don't
what
have.
I'm saying.
I
That's what
want
I'm
to
saying.
say because you know what I want to say, but I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because I'm not a man. So
I
that's
mean,
not my place.
you can speak freely. I'm just saying that,
I
just
know when to shut up.
just from friends in general, or just having conversations, or just even observing men in general. A lot of them don't know that it's okay to have emotions or feelings. They
Because
don't know that because
they'll
they've
say
never
when I
been
did
shown
it,
that. They
they
never
said
been shown that.
they'll say when I did it get thrown back in my face.
Right.
Then you weren't in the right space.
Right. Right. I agree.
You're in the right space.
I agree.
Because
So,
it's women.
so what do you think about the men who have never seen it? Like never seen a safe space?
I honestly feel sorry for them because I know personally what that feels like.
Right.
Personally, what that feels like. So, um, I've advocated for men because there's a couple spaces that has these places where men can can find men like them
Right.
to have safe spaces
Right.
just for them,
Right.
right? So and that part I'll agree that maybe they won't know. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't know that these spaces actually exist. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
However, just like they'll have a feeling, oh, um I wonder if they have this thing called fantasy football. Let me go find it. Go
Right.
find it. Like,
Right.
you know, people don't give men credit
Right.
for a lot of things. Like, even when it comes down to intuition, I tell people, no, men got it too. It just comes
Right.
from a different place. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, and because men are simple creatures. They really are. Women
But
are a
I'm
little
gonna
bit more
tell you,
complex, but
yeah, men
y'all
are,
know.
men are extremely. I know. I'm just speaking on the. What I'm saying is, men are simple creatures, but I will say that, just people in general, they won't go find it because this is something that I've been thinking about, like for the last couple months or so. People like love being ignorant.
Yeah.
like it don't bother them that they ignorant.
It's crazy, right?
Right.
Because it's accepted in most places. Ignorance find ignorance. It's
Right.
like, well, since because their needs are still getting met,
Right.
quote unquote, needs are still getting met. Like, you know what I mean? But they're not asking for much. Like, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Well, oh well, at least I'm still eating.
Right.
At least I'm still like having sex, and at least I got a bed, because we know a lot of men going couch for couch or woman to
Right.
woman because these women are housing them, because
Right.
now we're in a place to where it's oh, as long as he cute and as long as he can fuck good, like, you know what I'm saying? These women exist. Like, they, because a lot, and vice versa. A lot of women don't know neither. You know what I mean? And this is why I want to continue to speak love into my women, like, especially with Black women, because the same way these men were raised without the knowledge,
Right.
you have the women that are raised without the knowledge. Like,
That's a
and
fact.
I blame it on the generation before them.
Right. That's a fact.
The mothers aren't out here.
That's a fact. All right, I got a couple more questions for you. All right, the second part of the men thing is, what is a question or a thing that you would just like to ask men in general?
Let me see. um because I think this is like a layered question.
Right.
It's like, I, I feel like this is like a rhetorical question, because I feel like I know why. It's like, so for the men, it's like, why do y'all give up so easily? I don't know. I think I put them.
You
Yeah,
would
but like, why do y'all give up so easily?
you mean in the pursuit of women or just in general?
Both. Like,
Um,
why do they let the majority allow them to just give up? Like, why do they give up too easily? Like,
because
it'll just, like, all right, they heart get broke once.
right,
I'm done.
right, right. Um, like I said, the emotional side of it, they haven't seen it yet or they haven't felt it yet. So it's like a person who's genuinely felt like what real love is going to be something that even if they got hurt, they would still want that feeling again. But if they never felt that like genuinely, it's not going to be something that they're going to chase because they don't even know what it is. So
I can dig that.
that plays a part in it. Most people in general, and extremely men, lazy. just lazy, just lazy, and then you have to factor in, like you were saying, there's other women that make it easy. So even though you could be a person that a man may want to pursue, the work that it's going to take, they don't want to do the work.
So then where does that put, all right, so it's stated that um African American women are the lowest. I don't rely too much on research because it varies depending on where you actually get your research from, right?
Right, right,
However, it's stated that African American women are in the lowest percentile to get married,
right.
right? Um, Now I don't know how deep you want to go, pause, but
Well, there's a lot of
I
factors in that.
right. So, but my main factor comes from I go all the way back to generational
Right,
um issues,
right,
especially number one cause stemming from um the social economic
right,
issues because that was their goal is to separate black families,
right,
hence welfare, you know. But then you'll have your group saying, "Oh, it was the black women's fault. They gave y'all food stamps and y'all ran with it." But
no,
if you
I
go
don't
even
believe that.
further back, yeah. But just reading stuff. But if you go even further back, no,
I
they
think all of
separated
that
the
shit is
man.
excuses.
Yeah, it's all
I think,
collaboratively. It's all an issue.
yeah, I think all of that shit is excuses. They don't factor in when it comes to black women or them saying that black women are at the bottom. They don't factor in because most of us be dead or in jail. So that's not factored into the numbers when they say that women are at the bottom. They don't factor that in. And also, we're not raised to be husbands. It's not an idea. When we're little kids, they don't be like putting it into you. Like when you grow up to be a father or a husband, that's not put inside of you. Like they're not raised that way.
Right. Right. Even with us women, it's not.
Right.
So like again, like I said, I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother raised me how to be like a wife. Like for instance, if I was raised by my mom, and nothing against my mom, I love my mom. Like you know what I mean. I don't want anyone to take this out of context. But again, my mom only knew what she knew.
Right.
So even when the couple of times when I was around my mom, um, I remember I think I was in my early 20s, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I was coming from Brunel or something like that because I was still, yeah, I had to have been in my early 20s because I was still at home with my grandmother. And I had carried my bag. Yeah, I had to have been 'cause I don't think I was driving yet. Um, some of my bags come from Brunel. I think my mom was coming in from work at the same time. And she said something to the effect of, like, "Oh, did you bring all your bags yourself?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Well, why didn't you like call for a ride or something like that?" Because I did it by myself. I'm like, I got it by myself. What do you mean? Girl, all you gotta do is bat your pretty eyes. Any man would do anything you want. Da, 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 da. Like kind of giving me game, I guess, whatever.
Right.
And I had to explain to her that's not who I am.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? That's not my goal. I don't need to bat my eye. I don't need to use
Right.
my physical attributes to get things I want from men. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So imagine if I continued to stay under. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Right.
Versus with my grandmother, I watched how she catered to her husband. She taught me how to pay bills. I'm on my hands and knees washing floorboards. Granted, that's not all of the attributes of a wife. Is also making sure um, you're pouring into your partner mentally and spiritually, making sure you uplift them, and vice versa, making sure that is being poured back into you, like as far as like words of affirmation and gift
Right.
giving. That's how I learned about love languages, like different things of that nature. So those were the core values that I was raised in, watching that kind of partnership and those love correlations. I watched that and I grew up around that. Like, you know what I mean? So those were two different lifestyles. Do you see where I'm going?
Right.
So versus, you know, the generation before me, which maybe the majority of my generation was raised under, compared to the generation
Before that.
right. These are two different lifestyles that
Right.
we're talking about. So it's like if they were raised with that generation, then yeah, of course they might have. Not saying that maybe all of them had the same mentality of my mom. Like, and again,
Right.
nothing against her. It's
Right.
just, do you see where I'm going with that?
Right.
So yeah, it would be really different.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, we weren't, like you said, we weren't raised as um partners and
Right.
spouses and wives and husbands. So
Right.
definitely.
Right. So, like, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done, and men, like you was asking, why do men quit? It's just because they're lazy. It's just because they're lazy, and it's easier, to just go outside and find a quick fix. It's easier to go outside and find a quick fix than to put in that work. But I think that before you, men even, or both parties, I think need to put in that work to know themselves first. And that's why I always ask that question first. Do you know yourself? Because I don't even I can't even entertain certain conversations with people who don't know themselves. So
Yeah,
that I'm going to stop right there. I'm not even going to waste my time
I'm not even
talking
supposed to
to
be here.
you. Right. Right.
Right, because what are we talking about? 'Cause you're not about to like throw me for a doozy.
Right. Right. So that's all a part of it. All right, my last couple questions is, what is the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
My kids
Okay.
and my kids. So the best thing that happened to me is my kids, right? For a couple reasons. They are amazing. And they show me how amazing I am, right? They are truly a reflection of me. But they also help me with perspectives. So even down when it comes to dating, because instantly, so prior, even when I was a teenager, I never wanted to become a statistic. Even telling your dad that I never wanted to become. I didn't want kids. I didn't want children. I always wanted to go to college. I had a vision for how I wanted my life to be set up. Right? Damn sure didn't want for it. Damn sure didn't. like, 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 this is wild. Whose life is this? Right? like, sign me up for this shit. Because where was my parents at? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but like, I had no guidance. Chris Brown. I'm blessed. I wouldn't be who I am today. I'm so humble. I'm grateful. Um, a literal reflection of me. These children are remarkable, and the fact that my oldest will be 18 this year. The fact that I made an 18-year-old as fantastic as her, not just her, but all of them. Like, you know what I mean? Because there was nothing but doubts and tears and bloodshed and a bunch of things that sacrifices. It's crazy, like, you know what I mean? And fights and just a lot of things that happened that so many people have no idea that I went through. Like, you know what I mean? They just think that I just gracefully, blissfully went through life, and I'm like, you got to be the most retarded person on this planet to think that that has actually happened, because of how well rounded my children are. But now I know it's a compliment. Even down to dating, I get that stigma put on me because I'm a single young mom, or children, and it used to be an insult because instantly, how many baby daddies you got? Who the fuck is you talking to? Like, because, and then I had to learn Naima is not a reflection on you, but just a
Right.
projection on them and their environment and how they grew up.
Right.
You don't even know what I went through. Like, you don't even know the third one was planned because I had reproductive issues and I underwent a surgery that went wrong. We're not even gonna talk about how the fourth one got here because I don't want him to think that he was a mistake. You know what I mean? I don't want to put that out here in the world because I don't ever want him to see it
Mhm.
of how he got here. Like, you
Right.
know what I mean? So, because digital footprint is a thing.
Mhm.
So life happens. However, they're here. You know what I mean? And I'm proud of them. The worst thing that has happened, and I might, what's crazy?
What's up?
We talk about spiritual bypassing a lot. Spiritual bypassing is like not accepting negativity. Like, it's like um not accepting your trials and tribulations and always I don't know if you hear Christians when you hear about Christianity, they do something extremely sinful like murder and be like, well, God told me to do it. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? So I don't want this to sound like that, but I'll go through something real bad, but I'll see the enlightenment of it. You
Right.
know what I mean? So it's really hard for me to say what's the worst thing that's happened because I've been through some shit. But
Okay.
after it's done, I'm like,
You learned something, or you took something. You got something
I'm
from
like,
it.
I understand it now.
Right.
Like,
Right. Right. Right.
you know what I mean? I understand. And when I tell you I've been through some stuff, but I understand it now. Like, so, but you know what? I have my heart broken.
Okay.
Um, like allowing myself to let myself down. Like no one's broken my heart. It's me that breaks my heart. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Because I
Right.
know what the outcome is going to be, but like to, I trust in humanity so much.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm
Oh
going to
yeah, I
give
lost
you.
that.
Do you see how
I lost that one.
I want to believe in people so much because you guys, like, y'all can't be this cruel. Like,
Right.
somebody has to have a heart
Right.
because, and I know it exists because I exist.
Right.
I
Right.
know it's out here. So it's like, it is one of those things that you are what you attract. So it's like, how are you in my environment and how am I talking to you for you not to have the same heart that I have?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then disappointment and it's like, you bitch. So it's like,
I don't
that's what it is.
necessarily believe in you are what you attract. I believe that we don't always place the patience to see that's not what we supposed to had attracted.
Mhm,
And energy flows, and that could be a thing, but
mhm.
also we blind ourselves into projecting what we
Yep.
want or what we think we see.
Yep. That's how it was. That's exactly how it was.
Yeah, that's how I see it. Okay, my last question is, what is your advice to men and women in order to bring this thing together?
Y'all know what my advice.
The people need advice. The people need advice because they obviously got it wrong.
Okay, guys, my advice honestly is to date yourself. My advice is to not be the wounded healer nor the wounded warrior. My advice is to not guard yourself so much and to trust that it is safe to love. Not just someone else, but to love yourself. So if you know that you are hurting, acknowledge that when you put out into this world, that you will also hurt other people. So if you have the understanding that you are willing to put out and that you trust in yourself so much that even though you put out, it won't take away from yourself, then you are doing justice to not just your community, but to the world as well. But it won't happen and we won't heal until you start. So it does actually start with you. Do not think that you don't matter because you are responsible for your surroundings and yourself.
I'll agree to that. I'll agree to that. So like I said, or like I always try to employ to the people, um, you can't just acknowledge that there's work to be done. You got to start doing this shit. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, start doing it. Like, be brave and just do it. Be brave and do it, regardless. Like, don't get so attached to the outcome, because that outcome is not your job. That's God's job. But it won't work. The formula won't work without your portion. You know.
That's a fact. I did want to say, as you were speaking on, your journey just as a single mom, um, I want to commend you because I know that that's a hard job just in general.
Mhm.
I've been a single parent at some points here and there, so I understand, what that entails. You having four is a bigger job, so I want to make sure that you get your praises in that, and I
Thank you.
want to make sure that people understand that there is no playbook, there is no guidelines. You kind of like gotta figure the shit out on the fly, and
Mhm.
while you're figuring out on the fly, life is also happening. So that intertwining is could be a mind fuck, and that's why you have to constantly like people go to the gym, but they don't do the exercises for their mind.
Yep. Yep.
So that's also a thing. You have to continue to condition your mind, I guess,
Yep.
the
And that's
same
the
way
whole
you would
that.
think of your body, same way you would think of your body. So that's what I want to leave the people. You can give them your socials and tell them how they could find you. A lot of them need life coaches, so please give them the information so they
Yeah,
can hit
hit
you
me
up.
up. I'm an expert in knowing how to heal inside of the environment that hurt you. So hit me up. I am at Nina Please on all platforms. That's N as in Nancy, I, N, A, P as in Paul, L as in Larry, E, A, Z, Z like Zoo. Looking forward to meeting everybody.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So I want to thank you for coming on Intimate Conversations.
Thank
Oh,
you.
because you missed the pod the other day, I want to ask you:
Yeah.
do you have a checklist
What kind of checklist?
and a potential partner?
Um, Definitely spiritual. Um, doesn't have to be like a spiritual. I'm about to be like no Christians, but spiritual. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Like, that was a joke. That was an inside joke. But definitely spiritual. Just as long as you believe in something higher within yourself. Potential partner checklist, ambitious. Like, you have a passion and a drive that wakes you up every morning. Um, I love to see someone who just loves something that they're attached to, that is not their baby mom.
I
Um,
can't. Can
um,
we? Can we? I don't want to interrupt you, but can
I
we?
know.
Can we dismiss that at some point? That's not a true thing for everybody.
I'm a comedian on Sundays. Let me see. Um, Loves to travel. Because I like to learn,
Okay,
and open-minded, definitely open-minded, who don't shut themselves down from pretty much anything. As someone who likes to talk, not too much though. Don't.
not too much.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person. Yeah.
I'm definitely not a morning person. That
But yeah, I
shit's
think that's my
annoying.
checklist.
Okay.
Yeah, not too much, right?
Yeah, not too much. Not too
I'm pretty
much.
open.
not too much. That's
I'm
very
I'm more of a vibe person,
man.
so
Mm, mm. I mean, yeah, that's a cute little list. That's because I gave him like 30 things. I was like right on the edge. Like
you over there looking for Queen of Sheba.
I was like right on the edge. I was like right on. It's because it is, and I explained it. You know, it's only because of the work that I've done,
Mhm.
and I don't want to be here, and you're here, and then I, like you said.
No, nope, nope. Yeah, I totally get it.
Like I'm trying to reach something because I feel like a lot of people think that things, achievements, all of those things is what
Mhm.
people value as success.
Yep, and it's
And
not.
yeah, I don't view it that way. I think that love at its highest form is the greatest thing.
I totally agree. And that's why I like those basic ones. I think
Right,
those are cores
right,
because when you start to like put the list down, it all
right,
ties in under that umbrella anyway.
right.
You know what I mean? So
So, like I said, I want to say thank you for joining Intimate Conversations.
thanks for having me.
This is always a open platform or open space for people to even just vent in general. Because, like I said, people are not talking or having the real conversations that they should be having. It's more or less, well, what you do today? And well, like yo, my life is way
Way more intricate than that.
right,
Way more impressive than that.
right. So I try to extend this platform, and I've like a lot of people like I love that you have this bubbly, outgoing personality because a lot of people are so wrapped into themselves, and even a person like you, like I will see people like you doing the things that you do on social media, but they won't speak how you're speaking now. Like they'll just do it there, but they'll be shy in other places. And I'll
Nah.
be like, you gotta speak. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like so
They doing it
once
for the gram.
right. So once again, thank you. And this platform is always open to you, whenever. And I'll put your socials and everything so people can hit you up. And hopefully, they'll begin the work because
Yes.
it's always a continuous journey and people got to stop being so content with where they are as a person,
Yeah.
but they want to be like, I'm chasing the bag, though. I'm like, all right, that's cool, but
But
that
what
ain't
else?
it, right?
Right, right,
but that, but
right.
that ain't it. That ain't it because people don't realize that they're going to be wealthy and alone, and that's not fun either.
No, 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 they don't get it.
Right,
They chasing the wrong bag. But
right.
I appreciate you for you having me on. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Thank you, thank you,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
So we're going to get up out of here, people. Make sure y'all like and share the video. Share your thoughts in the comment section. If anybody else wants to come on and speak, even just have conversation, share their stories, whatever it may be. This is Intimate Conversations. It's always open to the world. We're going to get up out of here, people. Till the next time. Deuces.
Oh, come and talk to me. I really want to meet you, girl. I really want to know your name. Can we just talk?